Hey guys, it's Matt Johnson here back with another special audio-only episode of Real Estate Uncensored. Our special guest today is Jesse Garcia. For those that don't know Jesse, he is a team leader out of Roseville, California, as well as the founder and CEO of Pipeline Wizard, the tracking and accountability software for agents. Peter Drucker said what gets measured gets managed, and that is increasingly true, especially if you are a solo agent. It's very, very important. So what we're going over today is how to track and measure your daily activities so you attract more clients and increase your income. So if you like this type of content, make sure to do a couple things. Number one, subscribe on YouTube. So most of our content is done over Google Hangouts. It records right to YouTube. It's immediately available there, and you'll be notified as soon as a new video is posted. The other way, obviously, iTunes. If you like getting this content downloaded right to your phone so you can listen on the go, iTunes is a great option. If you're on an Android device, check out Stitcher. So with that, let's get into the interview. Jesse's going to go over a couple things as far as how he got started, why he started tracking his progress and his results as a solo agent, and how that helped expose the areas where he needed to up his game, and how he could make certain improvements that would exponentially increase his business just by making small adjustments based on what he was seeing and tracking. And we're talking about how that evolved into the spreadsheet that later evolved into the software now known as Pipeline Wizard, and how he used that to also help the agents that were on his team to track their individual metrics and build their individual businesses as solo agents underneath him on the team. So we've got a lot of ground to cover as always. Settle in, grab a notebook, take some notes, and we'll see you on the other side.
In kind of a combined story. So I decided to quit my job in 2008. My last day in the sheriff's department was July 31st, 2008. I literally decided one day, talked to my wife, woke up, went in the next day, turned in my 30-day notice, and no pipeline, no idea what I was doing, and just dove into real estate. That was, my wife had a lot of faith in me, which I don't know where that came from, but she had a lot of faith in me. And I just dove in and started grinding. I joined a team and learned a lot from there. Was on the team for about 8 months. And, then I went off and started doing my own thing. I joined and started a BNI networking chapter. So that was one of my biggest networks, and just started grinding. Meeting people left and right, and started building a really good book of business. And I started building, what we call now Pipeline Wizard. Before it was called My Pipeline. And it was just an Excel spreadsheet at the time, Matt and Greg.
That is awesome. Now, have you always been someone who wants to track things? Were you a tracker back in high school or in college or in the jail system? I mean, were you always trying to find ways to make yourself better, or did you when you jumped into real estate, did you say, screw it, I don't know what I'm doing, I might as well figure out I put it on pen to paper? How did that progress?
Well, and that's an interesting question, Greg. Here's what's funny is, and somebody asked me that about a year ago, and I didn't really think about it. And then I went back and I go, you know what's funny? When I was a waiter at Applebee's back in the day and at Chili's, I made an Excel spreadsheet when I was 18, 19, and 20 working at these places, because I always set a goal for how much tips I needed to make or wanted to make every single day, and I would track it on a spreadsheet. And anytime I set a goal and I put pen to paper, I always hit it or exceeded it.
So, that is the funniest thing about it. You know that 95% of the time when you write a goal down, you will achieve it, but only 3 to 5% of the general public will ever write their goals down?
I've heard that, and it's amazing to me. And I thought back to that. I was going, wait, I was a waiter, and I built an Excel spreadsheet for tips and for my goal, because, you make most of your money on tips, right? And I wrote it down and I tracked it, and it was just the funniest thing is because when I put it down and I go, because I knew it in my head when I went to work, and it gets you out of that. It got me out of that funk of, okay, I'm working at Chili's right now, which is nothing's wrong with that. It's probably one of my funnest jobs, and I went in with a positive and a different attitude because I had a goal now, rather than just going to a job and serving people that were ungrateful.
Mm-hmm. It's totally true. And I do the same thing that you do, Jesse, and it's amazing. I did this this morning, to tell you the truth. I got up, I was a little grumpy butt because I didn't really want to get out of bed, but I knew I had to get out of bed to go work out. But I went from, I set a goal for myself, and as soon as I set that goal, I immediately got invigorated, and I went out and took action, and I met that goal. So I applaud you beyond belief for doing this, and I cannot wait to hear more about your tracking system and what it's done for you, your business, your clients, and everyone who's associated with it, and kind of how it has a ripple effect and affecting people in a positive way, because now they can see the validation that what they do and where they spend their time is actually important versus just filling time through the day.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and I love that. I love the analogy, because a lot of what we do or don't do, there's something that happens when you write it down, and it just, whether anybody else sees it, it's self-validating, it's self-motivating, because you know that you made a commitment to yourself to actually go out and do it. And as soon as you start letting yourself down, that can become a very negative and bad habit as well, because now you're used to letting yourself down. So you, at that point, don't even believe anything that you tell yourself.
Yeah. You are so right. I've always told people that if you can't keep a promise to yourself, how can you ever be, how can anyone ever expect you to keep a promise to someone else? That is so true, man. That is awesome. I'm so glad we're doing this. Finally, someone else thinks like I do.
Well, Jesse, tell me a little bit about, before we get into some other stuff, I want to go deeper on that real quick, because that's a discussion me and Greg have had a lot in working with like just some of the people that have joined his team, coaching clients and stuff like that. And KW is really, really big on goal setting and really setting big goals, setting stretch goals and all this. How do you separate goals that are big enough to motivate you versus when you make 100% absolute commitment to something to hit a certain number? And how do you manage those two things? We're trying to set goals big enough to motivate you, but small enough where you can actually hit them and make that commitment to yourself that no matter what, you're going to hit that goal.
Great question. So the funny thing is, I'm a huge thinker, like massive, big goals, big dreams, big thinkers. And I've surrounded myself with, one, I married way above my pay grade. And so my wife and a lot of my really close friends are those ones that are like, that's great. I love the goal. Now, how can we break this down to where it's attainable? We can really break it down. So, I honestly can't take credit for that, guys, because I just surround myself with a lot of people that, I don't want to say bring me back down to earth, but take my big vision, my big goals, and go, cool. That's awesome. Kind of like when your mom goes, that's great, dear. Okay, now, so I have a lot of great friends and family around me that help me come down to a realistic level with a stretch goal going, okay, that's something I can do. That's something I'm going to strive for. Now I have the support of my family because they help me get to that point, and my friends.
Yeah.
It's important to have those people. I have a few of those folks in my own life as well, Jesse. But it's also, for you and I think you and I think a lot of the same way here. I think all of us have a BHAG. You guys know what the BHAG is? The big, hairy, audacious goal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I have one that I think probably scares most people, and every time someone sees it, they kind of think I'm a little bit nuts. But Jesse, I think you have the same type of thing. Like, you have such an audacious mindset for where the pipeline can go. What is a way that, in a positive way, that you've had your BHAG, and then you've had someone in your life bring you back down to planet Earth, but then set up a step-by-step program for you to achieve milestones, like Matt was asking, to get to that ultimate goal?
And so, as an example, even with pipeline, which we'll get to later, is I think big. I'm like, okay, great, this is gonna be the next Facebook. According to the movie, they just put it online, and all of a sudden 1 billion people signed up for it. Awesome. And I'm like, oh, this is easy, cool. Let's throw something online; it'll sell like crazy. And the reality is the first 6 months that we had it out from a beta standpoint, it was like trying to pull people's teeth to agents' teeth to go, why aren't you tracking your business? Why aren't you tracking your business to begin with? Why aren't you setting your goals? Why aren't you doing this? And there was a lot of reality checks, and it was amazing to us going, okay, well, this is going to be harder than we thought. And so we had to backtrack a little bit, got with my team, got with my friends, got with my family and go, what are we missing? And, what we were doing is they said, you know what? You're trying to go out right now and shoot with a shotgun rather than going out and shooting with a sniper rifle.
Yeah. Interesting.
Like, wow, that's a great analogy. And then once we started focusing in on the big goal, we were able to break down monthly goals, quarterly goals, and annual goals to get to that big vision over a 3 to 5 year period. And it took a lot of reality checks on my part because I was like, nope, this is a goal. This is a goal. I mean, guys like us, Greg, we're stubborn, right?
Oh, yeah. Like a mule.
No, this is the goal. This is going to happen tomorrow. And if it doesn't, you're all fired. No, I'm kidding. And so, I mean, I have a lot of people on my team that I truly trust, and they help break it down into a very micro scale to achieve a macro result. And one of my coaches told me, he goes, you know what the difference between a light bulb and a laser is? I said, what? He said, focus. They're both light, but one can cut through concrete, the other one will light a room.
Huh. Yeah, and that's a great analogy, and I think that's what a lot of people, especially newer agents, probably struggle with the most, is they think that they can take a shotgun approach, where really they need to get down into the hand-to-hand combat and start going after very specific people like a laser, just like a laser focusing on the few things that actually get them business.
You're absolutely right. And when I first got into the business, my team leader said, you know what, you really only need 3 to 4 pillars of a lead generation or prospecting system to run a 6-figure business. And she was absolutely right, because once I started focusing on family, friends, sphere of influence, law enforcement, people I work with, and my networking group, those are the only 4 things I truly focused on that got my energy rather than lead generation from online. But that was passive. This was more intentional and focused, and business was great at the time because I literally was focusing on a smaller area of business rather than trying to do everything.
Yeah, and that's something, Greg, you hit really hard. Not just the sphere, but also in farming terms, to really get specific about an area, be in front of them all the time, get out, meet them, call them on the phone, and really focus not on trying to sell everywhere to anybody anything, but to get specific about who you want to sell to, and then get in front of them consistently.
Yeah, identify your farm. Work it like a business. Look at your turnover. As soon as you find an area that you like to sell, they like you, that has good sales numbers, and then just get out in front of them consistently. That's the most important thing. And Jesse, you brought up a really interesting fact when you mentioned all the different areas that you were talking there. I didn't hear, you mentioned online later, but we just fired all of our online leads yesterday. And we went back and we analyzed, we looked at the 80-20 rule, and we said, where's 80% of our business coming from, out of and we identified it down, and it came from just what you talked about: networking, sphere of influence, friends and family, social activities. My business partner, Chris Callahan, my father, Terry, who's my other partner. A lot of our business comes from what we do continually in our day-to-day lives. And I want to hammer in on that a little bit, because you brought up, every agent gets caught up in the new shiny toy. What's going to bring them the easy button leads, where they don't have to actually get out of bed or do anything for them to get a profit. But you went and you did it the right way. You grew your business organically, and then you started tracking. That's awesome, man. That is so cool.
Well, thank you. And I mean, for me personally, if I had to sit in a room and cold call for 3 hours a day, you'd find me in my office in a pool of my own blood. I can't do that. that is not my forte or my gift. I am a people person. I like being belly to belly. I like interacting and building solid relationships, because my mindset is, if I can go out and network and be belly to belly with 5 people who over the course of a period of time will become raving fans of my business, my service, the quality I provide, and they go tell 5 people, my business will grow that way, and I will put all my energy into those 5 people and helping them succeed in their goals, rather than go call 1,000 people I have no idea where they're hanging up on me, in the chance that I convert maybe 0.5% of them.
Right. There's a gentleman I was coached by a long time ago. His name is Dick Ward. probably the most successful gentleman I've ever met in real estate. And I asked him one day, he was coaching me, and back at that time, I was kind of a smart ass a couple of years ago. But that has really changed.
No, yeah, lots changed, right? Nothing like that happens anymore.
It's beyond the pale.
No. But I asked him. He moved to the Midwest, and when I got it right out of the war, and he knew no one, had a young wife, and decided to get into real estate. And long story short, he grew his business from zero to at the height of his business. He and his team were doing 2,500 deals a year. And I said, "How did you do this?" And he said, "I handed out 25 business cards every day, and I grew my sphere." And most people say, "Well, that's impossible. You can't just hand out your business cards. You can't just work your sphere. You can't just work your friends and family. You'll run out of them." And Jesse, you're walking proof to that fact. That's not true. I mean, Dick Ward is a walking fact of that. You're a walking fact of that. And I hope everyone who's listening to that will understand the power of going out on Monday, turning left, going out on Tuesday, turning right, handing out your business card, enjoying yourself, and meeting new people, and just living life, and then putting them in the pipeline and following up consistently. That is as hard as this business is.
Yeah, it's a numbers game, and I mean, and that's where I kind of went into really tracking my business, going, okay, what I've narrowed down into real estate at a very early time in my career was, it's a numbers game. I don't care what sales industry you're in. It's always a numbers game. The more people you talk to, the more business you'll get. Now, you can talk to people you don't know, or you can talk to people that you know, or you have a combination of the two. And whether it's over the phone, in person, open house, door knocking, whatever you can do consistently is fine. I shouldn't say I can't. I won't do cold calling for 3 hours because it's not what I enjoy doing. And not all success has to come from what you enjoy doing. There are things that I don't enjoy doing in real estate that I still do because I know what it's going to help take to get there, to help reach my goal. With really narrowing down your focus and tracking your business from a number standpoint, it's great. Do I want to go network with 5 people who can introduce me to 10, or sit on the phone and call 1,000 people that I don't know and probably never talk to them again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then once I started tracking, going, great. So narrowing down, I know that I have to talk to 50 people to get 5 deals in escrow. Awesome. Now I know what I have to do every week to get deals in escrow.
Yep. I love that. People always ask, we're going to talk about, we have a tracking sheet that we built down here, my father and I built, and, it's the same thing. It broke it down the minute, the door or call or whatever, the hour, the day, everything down to dollars and cents. And then it's amazing. And kind of like you have that aha moment when you're like, oh my God, I'm actually worth a lot of money.
Absolutely. And what's fun is when I built this spreadsheet, that it didn't only just track my numbers or my conversion ratios. I mean, it tracked my averages and it tracked my units. It tracked everything, excuse me, to where I was able to work smarter and not harder because I knew, wow, my average purchase price and my average list price is here. My average commission that I'm making is here. Wait, you're telling me I can make more money by not doing more units if I just make sure that I learn my scripts and objection handlers on my commission, or learn and targeted on a higher price point. Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The same amount of paperwork, same system, same marketing. I just have to target it and redirect it differently to make more money and still do the same amount of units or less.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, when you know your business and you know your numbers, it truly helps run a very highly effective and profitable business. I mean, can you imagine Intel or Amazon or Apple that just goes, let's just throw some money that way because it's working for them. And let's just see if that works, and we'll just pray that we get business from it. No.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. And what's funny is, like when I got into the business, and a lot of agents make this mistake, and you guys know this, is an agent, you hit on it earlier, Greg, is an agent will go, oh, this is working for Greg. I'm going to do this. And then 2 weeks later, like, I didn't get any business from that. Greg, I don't know what you're doing. You must be the only guy that can do it. It sucks for me. It doesn't work. Okay, great. Matt, I'm going to go do what Matt's doing because he's killing it right now. And, oh, wait, 2 weeks later. Wait, this isn't working for me. Matt, this sucks, man. What are you doing? Do you have the secret sauce to this or what? And they keep going through that pattern of trying to figure out what's working for other people rather than really sitting down and going, here are my goals. This is what I know I can do consistently. Let me just do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that's something Greg's really good at in terms of like sitting an agent down, like going through their disc profile, going through their strengths and weaknesses, figuring out what they're good at. You know, Jesse, you mentioned phone prospecting is and I'm the same way. It's the least favorite thing in the world. So you find what you're good at, find what your personality is better suited to, and then you build your business on that, not on what works for somebody else.
Exactly. And I mean, when you really start focusing and narrowing down and learning your numbers, I mean, the great thing about the spreadsheet that I built for me, it tracked a whole bunch of data. But I mean, you guys are familiar with the DISC and possibly the ABA. I mean, I'm a high D, high I. I'm a 9911 in the ABA. I have a total driver personality with zero patience, and I don't like numbers. You put a dollar sign in front of that thing. I love numbers. Right? And I need to know what's going on in my business. And one of the things that I tracked, which is funny or which was interesting, is every deal I got, every lead I got, every piece of tangible business I received, I put it into my pipeline. And I always tracked down to the penny the check I would get from my broker after everything was paid. And I had a column for every single item that was getting taken out of my commission check. And after the fact, I learned a very valuable lesson my first year in real estate was I forgot that going from a W-2 employee to a 1099 independent contractor, that taxes weren't taken out for me. So that was a learning experience. And so in the spreadsheet, I made sure that I took out and budgeted X% for taxes and reinvesting back in my business. So I knew that when I got that check from my broker, that wasn't all mine. But I was able to predict out my entire value of my pipeline. And I can give that to my wife, who's like, you quit your job. What are you doing every day? I see you're going to a lot of mixers and a lot of meetings and a lot of fun. It looked great. Where's the business? And I go, well, this is business. I'm networking. I'm doing this. And I showed her my spreadsheet, which put her mind at ease because she goes, oh, okay, that makes sense to me.
And what kind of things were you tracking in those early days, especially since you were hitting your personal sphere, personal connections a lot? I think people probably naturally think of tracking as being more applicable to, like, let's say Boomtown Leads or Commissions Inc., where everything's it's a sheer numbers game. So how do you track the numbers when you're dealing with more personal relationships?
In terms of the source of business, stuff like that, Matt?
Yeah, like how you were tracking your pipeline. Whereas it in terms of people, how many people did I meet? How many follow-up calls did I make? Like what
Gotcha.
were the metrics that you tracked?
So a lot of the metrics I tracked were very basic. I mean, it was just the amount of two-way contacts I made, how many buyer consultation, listing appointments I had, deals I got into contract and closed units. I mean, there are people out there that can track a zillion different metrics. And for me, the biggest metrics that I tracked were results-based. How can I track results? Because even when I was coaching or mentoring other agents, I would have them track the same things, and they would look at it and go, okay, I made the two-way contacts and I made all these appointments and, completely sandbagging. And I'm like, well, either I'm looking at your results and either two things have to happen, or two things are reality. You need to learn a lot more or you suck and you need to hang up your license. I mean, bottom line. I mean, if you're telling the truth and you made this many contacts and you set this many appointments, but nothing ended up in closed business or a contract, we have a lot of work to do. You need to go back to the drawing board and learn this, or this is just not your forte. It's time to go work at Chili's. I don't know.
No, that's so true. I mean, Matt and I have worked with agents. I've worked with agents, and I've coached all over the country, training on different prospecting programs. And when people would say, "Oh, well, I've done this much and blah blah blah," and nothing came out of it, and I'm like, "You're completely full of it."
Yeah.
It's mathematically impossible. Even if you're a mute, blind moron, your numbers cannot lie. If you're actually doing the calls, the doors, the prospects, the networking, all these events, you're going to get business out of it.
Back in 2003 to 2006, I mean, people that got their license the day before were putting stuff in escrow.
Mm-hmm. They were. And a lot of the people that, like, when everything shifted and it wasn't, you didn't just need a heartbeat to get a listing, you actually had to put a little work in. people then lost heart, and that's when I think your system is going to come in, because this market's going to change again. We feel it in our market down here. It's changing. We're seeing price reductions. We're seeing longer on the market. When it makes that shift again, your product, that tracking system is going to be invaluable. And I don't know about you, Matt and Jesse, but I would love to learn a little bit more about it and break it down if that's kind of what we're going to do, because that's gonna make or break someone's business hearing this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dig into it.
Let's do it.
All right. So first of all, tell me a little bit. Let's go into just in terms of how an individual agent would interact with the software. They don't really have someone to hold them accountable. They're holding themselves accountable. So just on a day-to-day basis, how are you interacting with the software to track what you're doing as an agent and then holding yourself accountable?
So the biggest thing that anybody can do is every week you go into the system, and there's lots of different facets to the software. The first thing that we'll discuss is every agent who goes in, they're going to set a goal for their week. And how many contacts they want to make, how many hours they want to lead generate, how many listings or buyers contracts they want, how many closed deals they want. And then you can go in and add as many different KPIs, as we call them, key performance indicators, that you want to track. But this way, it shows you in a very easy illustration, because for me, I like graphs and pictures. I don't like statistical looking software or forms. But yet it does appease to both different personality types, because you have the numbers. But then if you just want to look at a graph and colors, if somebody can see a number that says, oh, you're at 50% of your goal, right? I would rather look at a graph that just shows half of the pie is covered. I'm more visual like that, and I understand that better. And so every day I go in and you put in, great, I made this many contacts, I set this many appointments, and I've had this many listing appointments. I got this listing and contract. So you're tracking all of these things on a daily basis, where the system on the back end is putting all of these numbers together for you in a very easy to read format, where you can go, great, this week I had a conversion ratio of 10% for contacts to an appointment. Or over the course of a year, out of X amount of contacts and X amount of appointments, I had a 7.25% conversion ratio. So now I can plan ahead for my business next quarter and next year, and know what the expectations are and what I have to do to achieve the desired result.
That is fantastic. Absolutely freaking fantastic. I'm a high D, high I as well. I'm a driver. I don't like numbers. I like big buttons and colors, and to look at that. I mean, how many people have called you up, written you thank you letters for building this program? I just want to know. If you...
We've actually got quite a few, which is funny, for different reasons. One, because you can track your numbers, and when we have 2.0 come out in the next 30, 45 days, like, people can track their workout activity on there if they want to. It's an overall accountability software where you can put in, hey, I just want to track my workouts. I got to work out 3 times this week. I'm going to put that in there and track it. You can do that.
Just to let you know, Jesse, I hereby volunteer my services to be a beta tester for you. Out of the goodness of my heart.
Out of the goodness of your heart. I appreciate that, Greg. You'll be the first one up on the system. But no, we've gotten a lot of kudos, a lot of thank yous because of the system. Because what it does is, and you guys know this, most people in our profession, and I'm raising my hand literally right now, we like to make things more difficult because we think we're so smart that it can't be this easy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when a system like this is designed by accident, and for the most part for me, it just keeps growing based upon our users' feedback. It simplifies your business. So it's not easy, but it simplifies your business so much to where it just says, if you do X, you will get Y.
Mm-hmm.
People just don't get it though, and once they're able to be shown it, I was once told by someone that real estate agents are 3 things. This is the average agent. Anyone obviously listening to this is not average because you're trying to learn, but the average agent is lazy, cheap, and paranoid.
Yeah.
And there are those 3 things because they don't understand how simple the business can be, because they listen to all the hype. They chase the silver, the brand new shiny toy, but yet they don't sit down and track. Like with the pipeline, they track where their business is coming from. They don't see where they are. They don't treat it as an actual profession. They treat it as a potential hobby or a part-time thing, or I'll get to it later. But when it's in their face every day and they can track all aspects, I think it's going to revolutionize a lot of people's mindsets of this industry. And hopefully it will bring a lot of people's professionalism up based upon the fact now that it's real.
I hope so. And here's an interesting thing that we found out, guys. We went to the California Association of Realtors convention last year in LA, in Anaheim. And we literally had, I'd say, a good 1,000 to 1,200 people stop by our table and check it out. And our very first question to them was, how do you currently track your business? You could have heard a pin drop every single time we asked that question.
Excel spreadsheet?
Not
Maybe.
even that.
Oh.
I literally heard 3 people say Post-its.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And they do business?
Well, that's what they said anyway. I mean, it's interesting that, you know, I wanted the reason pipeline actually existed, and I called it my pipeline. It was a spreadsheet that I kept on my computer all the time. And the reason it started, to be honest, was the very first commission check I got. And now I know when I sat down with my team leader and she went over the commission splits and the caps and all these different things, you know how much you remember when you get your first check. So when I got my first commission check, I'm like, that's not 3% of 350. What happened to the rest of it? and so I went to our MCA, you know, the CFO of the office, and he explained it to me. And I go, great. I know there's a cost of doing business. I get that. I need to understand it. So I literally built almost my own personal accounting system so I could simply understand how a commission was calculated, and I can go to my wife and tell her, here's how much money I'm going to make net after I pay taxes and reinvest in my business. Here's the money that you can expect in our account to pay our bills and live a life.
That's awesome. I bet she liked that quite a bit too.
What's that, Greg?
I bet she liked that pretty much too. She was like, all
She
right.
loved that. And the great thing too, the motivation factor for me was, you know, the KW system, they have a cap, right? And as soon as you reach that cap, you're done paying that for that year, for that 12-month cycle. Mm-hmm. I built the system in such a way, which is one of our biggest selling features now, is when you start putting in your pipeline leads, whatever it is, the system will tell you and predict when you're going to cap and tell you how much more money you're going to make once you reach that on that date.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
You know, so I mean, regardless of what company you're with, it really breaks down and shows you, here's how much money you have to make. Now, when it's in a CRM and that person just sits there, it's like, great, I'll get to them. Now in our system, when you you don't really want to think of it this way, but when you put a dollar amount and you're like, wow, this is how much money I can make, I just have to follow up with that person, you have a little bit more motivation to do that. Because let's be real, guys, we're not in this business not to make money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're in the business to make money, right? Mm-hmm. I coach and I teach and I speak in front of agents all the time. I'm like, why do you get into real estate? I just love working with people. I love looking at homes. I love seeing homes. I love going to open houses. I'm like, okay, that's just BS. You want to make money, otherwise you wouldn't be in real estate. Let's just be real here. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. No. You can help somebody achieve their goal while still making money to provide for your family. Nothing wrong with that. But when you have to track how much money you're going to make, and there's that motivation factor to go, wow, here's how much money I'm going to make. Nobody goes to the NFL thinking, you know what, I'm just going to do this for free because I love it so much. They know there's a big payday if they're good enough.
Yep. Yeah, there was a guy we had on an interview a couple weeks ago, and he went into his database, compared it to his sales volume and his commissions, and figured out that for every person that he added to his database, they were worth $700 a year to him every year forever, as long as he was in the business and actively working his database. So for someone that's out there prospecting or door knocking like he is, to go out and understand that every single person that you add today, if he adds 3 people to his database, he just added $2,100 to his income every year forever.
And how could you not be motivated by that?
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, that is genius. That is genius. I'm going to include that in our next release. So thank him for me, Matt.
Yeah, exactly. Well, cool. Well, let's move into like if somebody's in the position kind of like where you are when you first got into real estate, where they're on a team, they're on somebody else's team. So how does a person that's a team leader or a coach or whatever the case is use Pipeline Wizard to then hold other people accountable and kind of all be on that same system and help motivate each other in a team setting?
Awesome. Great question. Thank you. So the cool thing that we're implementing is the ability to associate with your team, your coach, your broker, your team leader, whoever it is. So that way you can literally share your account and choose what you want to share with that person. So they have a 24/7 access to see what you're doing or not doing, to congratulate you and give you a high five or call you out on your BS. And so they can literally go on. I mean, for coaches and as a coaching client, imagine if your coach, I mean, you look at the sport, I use a lot of sports analogies. I mean, you look at sports and on the sideline of a football game and up in the upstairs, they're tracking every single statistic that you can think about, right? And when it breaks it down, what's the only number that matters in that entire game?
The score.
The scoreboard, period. So the scoreboard is great, and that's one aspect of it. But then you also have the coaches behind the scenes going, great, you know what? Great, your conversion ratios could be better. Have you thought about focusing on this one aspect of your business? Have you learned and practiced scripts on here better? Have you been role-playing this? Have you been spending more time and energy on this? Your business is really buyer heavy right now. That's not a really balanced business. You should start focusing on a better sales mix and start going after some more listings. And then Greg, as a team leader, you can have your entire team on the system and start looking at their activity to set a standard and an expectation on your team stating, here's the standard. This is what the team standard is. Here's what we expect. And this is how we're going to track it. You want to stay on the team and continue reaping the benefit of our business and all the work we put into it. This is what you have to do. If you're not going to do it, fine. We're going to part ways. If you continue to do it, you will continue to be rewarded. But I have to know what you're doing and what you're not doing, where you're succeeding and where we can help you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, it's not just smart business. It's something that gets someone out of bed in the morning, because everyone's got a competitive spirit, and if I know that I'm competing with a member of my team in a good, healthy way, and they're ahead of me because I slacked off, and then I'm like, holy crud, I got to get up and get moving. That's gonna get most people out of the bed, and get them moving and shaking. And then to have my team leader or one of my business partners, like you said, call you out on the rug if you're BSing them. That's good stuff, man. That is good stuff.
Well, just imagine if you can compete with other top teams across the country and see what they're doing, and all of a sudden you see your name and your team's name in 10th place on a leaderboard.
My blood pressure just shot up, by the way.
It's not a good feeling, and it's motivating, right?
It's not. I just got ticked off. I'm like, where am I on that board? I got to see where I am on that board. I would probably be neurotic about it and be checking it at 3:00 in the morning. But
oh yeah.
Okay, what's the Matt Johnson team doing over in the Midwest? Damn it, yeah. He got that. Oh.
Yep. And what's funny is it helps you focus a lot more, and especially when you get ticked off and competitive, because when you're in a competitive mindset, nothing else matters. Right? That mixer that you said you're going to go to, that cocktail you're going to have with a colleague, that recreational activity you're going to go do, done. I'm going to make 10 more calls right now.
10, 15, 20, push yourself. Always try to be bigger, better, smarter, faster. And if it's going to take that extra move, or you have to push your team to everyone sit back, and we're going to do another 30 minutes of prospecting, today, so we can beat, the Jesse Garcia team up north. We're going to do it. We're going to log our numbers.
And the funny thing is, what a lot of real estate professionals don't understand, and I've witnessed this firsthand, and especially as we're rebuilding and rebranding our team right now, there is a huge difference between micromanaging and accountability. And a lot of people don't understand that when they're on a team, when you're even the rainmaker, team leader, a coach, a lot of people don't understand the difference between being micromanaged and being held accountable.
Yeah,
And once they get those two definitions through their head, and they can understand that accountability is something that will drive and help somebody achieve their goals, and they just let it happen, they will achieve what they want to achieve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jim Walton, not Jim Walton. The name of the founder of Walmart. What's his name?
Sam Walton.
Oh, Sam Walton.
Sam Walton. He had the managerial thought pattern of over the shoulder management. You know, he'll trust you, but he's going to still peek over your shoulder a little bit. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about as well. You know,
well, it's results driven, right? I mean, if if Matt came to you and me and said, all right, Greg, all right, Jesse, here's the game plan. This is the results that we expect. Here's the starting point. Here's the end point. I don't care how you get there as long as you do it ethically and legally, but here's the result I expect. Mm-hmm. If you're on track to hit your result, Matt's going to back off and go, cool. All right, you guys are doing great. And what can I help you with? Mm-hmm. If we're not on track to hit our goal, and because we're lazy, like the three things you said, there's going to be a different conversation than we're going to be hearing from Matt, and it's going to be that very much micromanagerial process, because now he's not getting the result that's best for the entire team. We're looking at it as an individual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I seriously want to sign up right now. Because I want to go toe to toe with you, Jesse. I want to have some fun.
It's going to be fun, man. I can't wait.
So Jesse, you mentioned something about the the beta release of 2.0, and so how far are we away from that, and how do people stay on top of things?
Correct. Yeah. So I mean, the system's out now, and it's funny. I talk about my system like it doesn't exist yet. It does exist. It's in a 1.5 version, and Matt, I know you've seen it. We've gone through it. It's perfect for the individual agent, because that's essentially what I built it for, was me and my own team. Yep. And as we've been beta testing this over the past 12 to 18 months with users, 2.0, we're targeting for it to be out in beta in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And 2.0, I personally believe, is going to revolutionize the real estate industry, because there's nothing out there like it to help people achieve their goal, and it's not a CRM. It will be able to tie into CRMs. It can be used as a pseudo CRM, and CRMs are focused on the client relationship aspect of it. Pipeline Wizard is geared and focused on making sure you know what's going on in your business and what you have to do to achieve your goals.
Yeah. You're right. There is nothing out there. When you were talking, I was racking my brain. I'm like, have I heard of anything like this? Is there anything else there? I mean, they have accountability partners. They have mastermind groups. They have these human interactions, but you don't have anything that's, hard paper or, quote unquote paper, in front of you that you're looking at on a day-to-day basis, and it's tracking you and it's showing your incremental growth. A lot of folks, I feel, as soon as they see that there is growth and there's improvement, they immediately put more effort into it. And I agree. I think what you're bringing to the market is going to allow people to see their own successes. Before they would just say, okay, I have another 5 people I have to call today. Okay, I have another 5 people I have to call today. It's not like, dude, I did 15 calls yesterday, and then that's 100% more than I did the day before. I rule.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's motivating. And from the gamification part of it and the competitive side of it, I mean, I have a Fitbit. I don't know about you guys. I mean, there's other things out there like it. I have a Fitbit. And I'm always competing with people on the Fitbit. And that's kind of where one of our biggest ahas came from, was when I got on my treadmill at 11 o'clock at night because I was in second place. And it wasn't because running was healthy for me. It made me feel good. I got to sweat out some frustration. It was, I am not coming in second place. And if I have to run 3 miles on the treadmill at 11 o'clock at night to beat the person who's already in bed, I'm going to do it. And then we looked at it and go, wow, what if we put this into a competitive environment where agents can now compete with each other to see who's kicking who's rear, because they will be motivated. The right people will be motivated by that than they will money.
Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely.
So you heard it here first. Jesse Garcia is recommending prospecting calls at 11 o'clock at night.
You know what? As long as somebody doesn't know where you live to hunt you down, I say go.
And they will do that. So we talked to We talked to a guy in New York the other day doing an interview, and he was like, I was talking about door knocking. He's like, no, dude, Greg, seriously, I'm not gonna go door knocking. I'll get shot. And I'm like, just imagine him doing 11 o'clock p.m. Prospecting call in New York.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh my goodness, man. I mean, it's funny. I mean, and there's a lot of our own beliefs around that, and you guys know this. I mean, the first time I had to go door knocking, my coach literally had to put a gun to my head and say, go do this now. And I said, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I just grabbed a stack of business cards, and like my first 100 doors, I think one person said no, thank you, but the rest of them heard me out or didn't answer. I'm like, wow, the beliefs and things I think of in my own head are nearly not as worse than what happens in reality. And I think that's what holds a lot of agents in our industry back from taking action.
No, it is. It's 100%. You know, I've done 72,000 phone calls, cold calls in the last couple of years by myself, just me, and everyone hears that number and they think I'm nuts. But I'm like, but just like what you said, Jesse, it's not as bad as you think. If people would just get out of their own damn way, go out, track their numbers, log the time, either doing the cold calls, doing the doors, doing the networks, doing whatever is uncomfortable for them, and just, track it and do it, they're going to make money. And it's nice. People actually will be nice to you. They'll bring you in on hot days. They'll give you, a hot cup of coffee on cold days. They'll bring you in out of the rain. I've had people try to set me up with their daughters. I mean, it's a crazy world out there.
Well, it's funny. A lot of you look at the baby boomer, and no, we're short on time. Just a kind of a funny statistics. I mean, I've heard that the baby boomer, era, 10,000 baby boomers will be retiring every day for the next 15 years, and that era respects hard work. Mm-hmm. And I remember going door knocking several years ago. Knocked on a door of an older gentleman, super nice, and he goes, "Wow, you know what? I don't need to buy or sell, and I don't know anybody who does right now," which was a lie. But he goes, I got to say, I really respect you out here in the heat in Northern California. It's 95 degrees out here. I don't see nobody doing this anymore.
No one. Yep. Totally true.
And he respected that. And I gave him my information. He held on to it. And I think I either made contact or referred me somebody months later simply because he respected the fact that I was out doing it.
You're hustling.
Yep.
And you're probably tracking it. And so you knew that, you were 10 more doors or 20 more doors or whatever it is away from your goal for that day to reach your ultimate, end all be all year to, take home cash.
Exactly. And the whole mindset is funny is, that I got from my coach. He goes, track the no's. So you know how many no's you got to get to before you get a yes. So now getting the no is almost exciting.
Yeah.
It's a mindset shift.
It totally is. You're like, I'm one no closer to a yes.
Yeah, you're like, okay, bring on the no's. Let me just get through them real quick, and then I'll get a yes. It's like it changes your whole mindset about getting the door slammed in your face or telling somebody to get out of here, which rarely happened anyway. But that no is exciting. It's not something you have to fear anymore.
No, it totally is. Darren Hardy, you guys know him, editor of Success. His book, Compound Effect, he talked about, when he was doing real estate, and he took a real estate trainer to lunch at an event, and the trainer said, fail as fast and as often as you can. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, as soon as you have the opportunity the pendulum swings, as far into that pain zone, which is no's, rejections, door slams, people chasing down the street with machetes, all of that stuff will swing equally back into success. So just like you, Jesse, go out there and see the ugly side of people, which doesn't come out that often, but the rejection, get the rejection more often, and you will get more success more often. And that is, as soon as you can verify that on a tracking sheet so you know what you're going towards, all of a sudden that no is no longer, oh my God, this sucks. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh my God, that was awesome. Yeah. I'm so close.
Yeah, and it teaches you to trust the process.
Yes. Exactly. I mean, you're both absolutely right. And I love what you said, Greg, and I think that's where a lot of people in our industry fail, and not in the fast fail, learn from it standpoint, is because they get into the business and they get their license because their mom or their dad or their Aunt Betty has to sell their house. And they said, let me get my license. I'll do it for you. And the business is handed to them. They didn't have to deal with objections. They didn't have to know a script. And then once all the business that just came to them goes away, they're like, well, now what do I do? Where did all my business go? I have to go get it? What is that about? Are you kidding me? And here's a phone. Go door knock. Here's this. And they're like, oh, well, real estate didn't work for me, man. Real estate sucks.
Wait,
right? How many times have you guys heard that?
It's so true. It's like, wait, what? I have to go. I don't want to. I don't like this anymore. No, I'm going to go.
Exactly. It's I don't know. It's mind boggling, but I mean, people get in and out of the business. The ones that stay. And the best piece of advice, one of the best pieces of advice that I got when I jumped out of my career in law enforcement and got into real estate in 2008 in a very horrible, which I was told was a horrible market. I thought it was a great market personally. They said, if you can make it in this market, you can make it in any market. And when you learn how to hustle, you learn how to work hard, and you learn how to put the money in the right areas to get the biggest return on investment, which took many years to learn, by the way. I didn't learn that overnight. And I'm still learning. Real estate works. You just have to, it's a numbers game. Go talk to more people. You do that, you will make a lot of money in real estate.
So true.
If only,
well, cool.
Yes.
Well, so Jesse, how do people find out more about Pipeline Wizard? Where do they go, and what's the best way for them to get in contact with you if they want to move forward?
Oh, thank you. I mean, they can go to pipelinewizard.com, and they can contact us. They can schedule a demo. They can schedule a training. If they go to the features page, they can see a lot of the features that are rolling out with the 2.0 edition. We'll probably be getting a form up by this week or next week where people can fill out a form if they want to be involved in the beta release of 2.0, and we'll get them signed up for that. But right now they can go to pipelinewizard.com. We host a show similar, a video hangout the third Thursday of the month, which I'd love to get you on, Greg. Matt was a part of it for a lot of time, and then he got too popular for us. I'm kidding. We love and miss you, Matt. And so a lot of that is just on the website. You can check it out. But no, we'd love to get you on our show too, Greg.
Man, I would love to come on your show, man. You and I think, we're sending referrals back and forth, and I cannot wait to try. I'm not kidding about trying the pipeline. I'm truly intrigued.
No, we'll get you on it, my man. Thank you, and Matt, thank you so much for the introduction. This is huge, and I mean, you're just a natural born connector, bro. Anything that you tell me to do, I do.
I appreciate it. Thanks very much.
All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. That was a great interview. It's always great to talk to Jesse. Make sure to check out pipelinewizard.com. Watch the demo. And like Jesse said, check out the Whiteboard. If you like this type of Google Hangout content where you're interviewing a top performer, top producer, Jesse does a lot of that on the Whiteboard. It's a once-a-month Google Hangout series. He co-hosts that with Patrick Woods. So definitely check that out over at pipelinewizard.com. And as well, for Real Estate Uncensored, obviously, subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher. Make sure that you always get the latest, freshest, newest content. With that, I'll let you guys go, and we'll see you on the next one.